Your Saltwater Guide. We got a big show today, gang. We got Billy Egan fresh off of Lake Niguel. You've been very, very busy the last few days here with this stuff going on at Lake Niguel. We got Jim Holden coming in a little bit later in the show talking about Fish for Life, which we're going to be live at Dana War Sport Fishing tomorrow morning with Fish for Life. And Elliot's going to produce a phenomenal show here today, and we'll show you a little bit about Fish for Life. And we'll show you what Billy and I are just it's almost hard for me to do this without bringing a tear to my eye, Billy. This is just incredible. When I saw your post on Monday, I called you immediate. I mean, your post probably wasn't up for 2 seconds. And I was like, Billy, what did they do to our favorite little lake where we grew up fishing? We used to sneak in there before there was houses there.
Yeah, it's very familiar to me. My parents moved there in '68, so longtime resident. It's where I cut my teeth. I learned, that's where my passion for bass fishing started.
Yeah, and so I'm going to show you guys a video real quick. This is the one that got me to call Billy, and then we're going to talk about, you guys can't even believe this. Check this out, and then we'll talk about it for a little bit. But I want you to see what somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing did. Oh my gosh. When you posted that first video, that's what got me. I called you immediately. I knew you were still down there at the lake. And to see the massive size of these largemouth bass, the carp, just floating there dead was just hard for me to stomach because of the fact that my children grew up fishing there, and I grew up fishing there, and you grew up fishing there, and Adam Cargill grew up fishing there. I mean, a lot of us from Orange County grew up there. And you were pointing out the bass, and you're going, that one's an 8-pounder, that one's a 5-pounder, because you were standing on the edge. And I don't even know how you kept it together, Billy.
Well, it was Monday morning. I got a message sent to me on Instagram from Mike Walsh, one of the anglers down in San Diego area, who fishes my pro tournaments. And fortunately for me, it being in the industry now for 16 years, running the largest bass fishing tournaments in the West, I have a lot of contacts in a lot of places. And he sent me the video early that morning, and I couldn't tell right away, but I was pretty sure where it was. And I asked him, where's this going on at? And he said he hadn't heard from the young kid that sent it to him yet, because he hadn't replied to any of the messages. And then I went back and watched the video, and I'm like, oh my God, that's my home lake. That's Laguna Niguel. And I'm about 10, 15 minutes away from the lake. So I immediately packed up, headed to the lake, paid the $3 admission fee, went into the park, went to exactly where I knew that was happening, because this is not the first time this has happened, but it's, in my opinion, the worst one that's happened. Back in 2013, we had a die-off as well, and it affected a number of fish that were succumbed to some issues back then as well. But this one really hit hard because, Laguna Niguel Lake, over the years, in 2015, Rick Mendoza gave up the lease on the concession there. And so rental boats and pontoon or float tubes and kayaks all went bye-bye. And slowly but surely since 2015, and prior to that, basically we have about 20% of the lake that's fishable. When I grew up, it was basically 100% because it was surrounded by dirt. Kite Hill wasn't even developed yet, and it was just dirt. There were no vegetation, there were no plants, there were no reeds. It was just a hillside surrounded lake. So over the years, as the vegetation's grown, they haven't maintained that or kept fishing areas open for our youth and the general public, which is why that lake was donated to OC Parks in the first place. But to get back to it, I went down there and there was a lot of activity because there's a lot of youth and young guys and guys our age that still fish there. It's amazing how many people have commented on all the posts I've made on how they grew up there and how they taught their grandson or their son or family members to fish there. My mom sent me a picture of 1980 with me and my brother catching bluegill there, which we both had the bowl cuts. It was very 80s. But unfortunately, what happened in this particular situation, what made it so much worse was that it affected the larger fish that typically, because of the less access of fishing, have found an area of the lake where they can pretty much hang out and be untouched. And it's our breeding fish, these multiple 10 pounders. I saw at least a 13, 14 pounder floating there. Countless fish between 5 and 3 and 8 pounds that were there, bluegill, carp. And when I saw the catfish floating, that's when I knew it was really bad, because catfish have the ability to go to the surface, get in their own air. But uh, what I found out by talking to some of the people, because I was just in Hawaii a week prior to that, and so I wasn't around. I hadn't been to the lake for a little while, but reports were saying that the aerators were off for up to 3 weeks prior to this happening. Um, we were having some warm weather, but it's definitely not one of the summers that we've had some really hot weather. It's not. It's been really cool. It's been great. It's beautiful down here, 80s, and it is summer though. And during summertime, the ecosystems, the O2 levels drop just because of water temperature, but if you add water temperature, you add that the aeration systems weren't off, and supposedly there was some aquatic vegetation spraying going on previous to that. And we all know that when you spray the vegetation and it dies, it sucks oxygen out of the water as well. So it was just levels of things happening. Plus, the only water source at Laguna Niguel Lakes, and most of our Orange County, Long Beach, whatever these community lakes are, they get the water from street runoff, irrigation runoff, usually reclaimed water plants just upstream from them. And the water quality is never that good. I mean, there are people that do catch fish at Laguna Niguel Lake, in the wintertime when they still stock with trout and or catfish guys that will eat fish. I wouldn't eat anything out of there myself, but I'm a catch and release bass guy. That's my thing. And like Adam, like yourself, it's been a lake that you could spend a little bit of time there, hone your skills, scratch that itch to catch a fish when you're busy working or in between events and things like that. And to see the devastation on the lake and the larger breeding fish that succumb to this particular die off was alarming. So I did what I thought was right, and I posted the information. I went directly to Laguna Niguel City, although they don't maintain the lake. It's within their city boundaries, and it's something they needed to know about. I was contacted by the Department of Fish and Game up in Sacramento that wanted to find out because they manage or have something to do with every inland waterway. And you know, myself, I've been trying to reach out to OC Parks for years, trying to get some information on how we could get the concession back up, get the fence that they put up on the backside of the lake taken down, get some vegetation taken out so that there's more access to the public, to our youth, because the overabundance of messages of people that have said, hey, that's where I cut my teeth. Hey, that's where I enjoyed it. That's where I taught my grandson, my granddaughter, my son, has been overwhelming. And happened, I went, that was Monday. I went down and took that footage and I put out the information, and I wanted to make sure that those that were responsible for this saw what was going on, and it wasn't just brushed under the rug as they typically are. I went back the very next morning to see if dive had increased, because when I was there were some fish underneath the dead fish in that particular area, and to explain to people why the multitude of fish were in that particular area dead is because currently that is the only area that water flows into the lake when it's flowing into the lake. So the fish were looking for any amount of oxygenated water they could. So just like trout, they go upstream to the fresh water. And they were met by water that's not the greatest. It's who knows what it's got in it, whether it's pesticides from people, spraying their yards or hillsides, or oils that are coming off the street from the street runoff. It was to ring the bell, ring the alarm, and say, hey, we need some attention out here. We need people who care to get involved. And I was contacted by the mayor of Laguna Niguel. I was contacted by Christina Foley, who's the OC board of directors and responsible for this area. And then I was contacted. I've been on a couple podcasts already. I've been on a radio show. KCAL 9 used some of my footage to air the information. We've done it on our website, Western Outdoor News, over 300,000 some views on that. My Instagram, my TikTok, it's just been crazy. And so I was invited down yesterday, Thursday, by ABC 7, who wanted to do an interview at the lake, and we met the same exact spot. I'm kind of skipping a spot. I went back the very next day and found 8 trucks, a tractor, 2 boats, 2 canoes, and guys, OC Parks people and waiters cleaning up all the dead fish, which was great to see them act as fast as they did. But to me and to a lot of the viewers, it's like, if you could find the resources to send all these people to fix a problem, why can't you spend half the resources to make sure it didn't happen in the first place? And so, yesterday when I was there with ABC 7, there was a bunch of official cars from Orange County and Orange County Parks. And I asked the young lady who spoke to me the Monday that was trying to give me a little bit of information on from OC Parks side. I asked if the supervising uh, warden was there, and he happened to be there. I've been trying to reach him for a long time just to get involved. And so I introduced myself to him and just wanted to make sure, and I put a video out explaining this, that he knew that this was something for a call to action to see if we can come to the table to talk about the issues that we have, not only with Laguna Niguel Lake, but other lakes. Irvine Lake, they happen to manage Irvine Lake as well now. So, the same things: water quality, make sure the aeration systems are on, make sure we're taking care of the ability for our youth to get out there and fish. Let's open the concession stand again. Let's get rental boats out there. Let's take down that fence that, by all means and definition of their own guidelines, is discriminatory towards anglers. You're cutting off a side of the lake just because you can't collect $3 from the people that walk on that side of the lake. Let's take some of the vegetation out of the lake. Well, we can't do that because there's a bird there that's protected. Well, let me remind you, there was nothing surrounding that lake when it was built. There were no animals around it other than coyotes at the time. And besides that, you can only do that during nesting seasons. You can't do it the whole year. So there's lots of things that we could do to improve Laguna Niguel Lake in a whole, the fishery. And it seems like we've got their ear, and they have not put out a official statement yet, although somebody did post on their Facebook and Instagram that it was due to higher weather temperatures, and that was the gist of their current explanation to the situation.
And you and I both know that's farthest thing from the truth. This is the coldest July we've seen in a very long time. And gang, where Billy's standing right there is one of the phenomenal places. If you know how to fish, right in that corner was always good, because that's where that, like you were saying, that's where the aerated water comes through. Gang, what they did, and you know me, I don't care. What are they going to do to me? But what they did was they shut off the air. They sprayed poison into the water, and there's been no management of the lake. But the fish that Billy's saying died, those fish lived through a lot of crap for a long time. They didn't dump a bunch of big fish in that lake the last time they killed all the fish. These fish made it through the last big thing. But what they did is absolutely tragic. As we stand here today, Billy, and we're fighting as hard as we can to keep our streams and lakes open to fishing, recreational, and they're hitting us with this 30 by 30 that's coming down the pipe. And you just watch something that, for all intents and purposes, all of us are watching right now. This is criminal. This is a criminal offense. If you and I did this, we'd be in a federal penitentiary right now. If we go fish in Laguna Beach, California, we're going to go to federal penitentiary. These people, look at, there's Adam with a couple nice
Paul Bailey right there.
Oh, okay.
That's me. This is up at Clear Lake.
Nice.
And
But
Shay
these are the fish that live in that water, gang. We saw these fish floating in the video Billy just made, the same fish. And these fish are put in these ponds and these lakes around Southern California because of the fact that they're so hardy. You have to work very, very hard to kill these fish. And it's a law in California. If you have standing water, you have to have largemouth bass in it for bug control, for the mosquito control, and all these other things. And what these people did, gang, and they're not going to be, unfortunately, Billy's raised the alarm and done what he's done, but they're going to stand there and lie to everybody and say they had no control over this. This didn't happen naturally. This isn't a natural occurrence like when sardines swim into Redondo Beach Harbor or anchovies swim in. This is not what happened here. This was a man-made tragedy. This was very easily avoidable. First thing Billy says, they turned off the aerators. Gang, if you take away my oxygen or Billy's oxygen, we're not going to make it. And then to spray the poison in there because they didn't like the matting of the moss that happens every year because of the warm water. And it's not over warm, it's not over hot, but this is a tragedy that's man-made that probably no one's going to be held accountable. But boy, oh boy, if Billy and I went and fished Laguna Beach, California right now on Billy's bass boat, boy, they would be on us in a New York second. Isn't that amazing?
It's sign of the times. I mean, our natural resources are shrinking. Our abilities to enjoy the things that you and I did as children and growing up. My son can't do the same. I grew up fishing, diving, Laguna Beach and Dana Point and all the areas that are now part of that closure. And it's unfortunate for our youth. They can't enjoy the simple things that we got to enjoy, spearing for halibut, going diving for lobsters, in certain area that they've closed off. But Laguna Niguel Lake is just a prime example of how access to a God-given right to enjoy the outdoors and to fish has been slowly but surely taking shrinking and shrinking. And so we want to work with OC Parks and other parks. It's amazing. I mean, all the coverage that this particular coverage has gotten. I'm getting calls from people that live at Canyon Lake. Hey, can you come out to Canyon Lake and do a story on Canyon Lake? We just had golden algae happen here. Hey, can you come to El Dorado Park? The shoreline is disgusting. It's terrible what's happening to our parks. And unfortunately for us in Orange County, Laguna Niguel Lake is and was and still is the only true lake that's open to the public that you can pay a $3 fee, go in as long as you have a fishing license and have at it. Irvine Lake suffered a major loss years ago and has been low pool, and you can't launch boats there anymore. And you got 2 water districts over there that can't figure out how to put things together and make it work for public access. And OC Parks is now running that one, so I hope they look at that and spend the time. It's like budget for accidental situations that come across. Don't budget for fixing things. Put a little budget away and say, hey, maybe put a hotline phone number up around the lake that says, hey, if you notice something that's happening, please call this number, and have somebody actually respond to that. Because there were anglers that said that they'd been calling the OC Parks, Sunday and Saturday, saying they noticed that fish were gasping for air and things didn't look right. And they didn't get any responses. We didn't get any biologists showing up. We didn't get, from what I can understand, a lot of attention from those warnings. And now, that I put out that original video, obviously it got their attention. They cleaned the mess up the very next day, and had the resources to do that. And we're still, waiting for their official response, which seems like the people that were there yesterday were putting the pieces of the puzzle together. that they're going to maybe release to us and the public. But as far as Western Outdoor News, myself and other concerning anglers that live in the particular area, we're going to continue to keep marching down the road. Fortunately, when I talked to Christina Foley, she explained to me that she's in charge of getting that concession stand back up. And so I'm working closely with her. Hopefully, I can even put an application in to see what I could do about bringing that building back and the boats back, because I have the resources. We're very tight with a lot of the big sponsors that could help bring this back, because no matter what happens, there's not a lot of money coming from the county to do it, and we'd have to pull together maybe to get it going. But this is just a sign of the times. I mean, look what just happened recently at San Diego Lakes down there, and the budget cuts and the threat of closing down lakes because they couldn't afford to pay employees to manage the lakes or pay, take care of the kiosks down there. And good thing Tom Lowry and a bunch of other people got together and fought the good fight, hired a good attorney, and the city saw how viable and how important it is for us as outdoorsmen to have the ability to go out and scratch that itch to catch a fish. And we're all catch and release guys, as far as the bass go. So it's something that's worth talking about and worth bringing awareness up about.
And Don, one of our followers and members of our website, Don Stanley, says this just shows one more time we, the fishermen, are more concerned with the environment than any of the environmental groups, because you didn't see any of them out there on Monday with you. None of those people that act like they care, they weren't there. I didn't see any posts on any of their platforms. But Billy, you're like me, we're the bad guys. We like to fish. We like to catch fish and throw them back. And so there we are one more time, taking care of our environment. And we're the ones that always get penalized for taking care of our environment. They don't believe we care about it. Look at the outrage. Look, all these are fishermen that are talking, that are on here, that are on your platform. Western Outdoor News does a phenomenal job. You guys have been letting us know what's going on in the world of fishing for a very long time in Southern California. And my hat's off to you. And have you moved into the digital world? You guys keep us aware of what's going on. I follow you all the time, Billy. And that's why I knew right when you posted, the second you posted, I called you immediately. And I think everybody else that's watching this, you should take a second, subscribe to Billy's channel, subscribe to Western Outdoor News online, get on there so you can see what's going on, because we're running out of people that care. CCA, California.org, that's an organization that you need to be involved with. Western Outdoor News, another organization you need to be involved with. Those of us with Your Saltwater Guide, we care about the environment as much as Western Outdoor News and CCA, and that's why I thought it was super important why this thing's fresh and hot to get you on the podcast. So thank you for joining us today. And tell me what's going on with Western Outdoor News. You got the tuna tournament coming up down here in my house, right?
Yeah, so it's kind of been our summer break, if you will, and things are starting to ramp up again. I've got 2 trips to Cedros coming up in August. We've got a trip the 11th through the 15th, which I actually have some spots left, and there's some discounted spots. So if anybody's interested in going to Cedros, you'll never pay this price ever again to be able to go to Cedros. So we've got some spots. It's a 5-day, the 11th through the 15th. Then I come home for a week, and then I go right back to Cedros. We've got a sold-out trip the 25th through 29th. And then the first event coming down the pipe would be our Lake Mead Open, which is our 4th stop of our 5 Wombass Pro-Am events that we do here out west. That's September 10th through the 12th out of Colville Bay. The water's low, but we're going to get a tournament going out there. We had a phenomenal tournament last year. It's the first time in 4 years we've been back, and there's some great weights because those fish have had a little reprieve out there at Lake Mead. Then right after Lake Mead, it would be the Big Bear Trout Fest up at Big Bear Lake, which was canceled last year, unfortunately, due to the fires that were going on last year. But we're going to have our Trout Fest event held there the very last weekend of September. I think it's the 27th and 28th. And then right after that, I'm off to Bottrell, Wyoming, for the 2nd and 3rd. And then the 4th event coming down the pipe would be our Lake Mead Open, which is our 4th stop of our 5 Wombass Pro-Am events that we do here out west. That's September 10th through the 12th out of Colville Bay. The water's low, but we're going to get a tournament going out there. We had a phenomenal tournament last year. It's the first time in 4 years we've been back, and there's some great weights because those fish have had a little reprieve out there at Lake Mead. Then Lake Mojave for the world famous US Open tournament there, where Ranger Boats, Mercury Motors, Bass Pro Shops are major sponsors, giving away $70,000 boat plus probably $20,000 to $30,000 in cash, having a good time there, and then head to Cabo, baby, for the Cabo Tuna Jackpot, the largest tuna tournament in the world, which is the first week in November. I look forward to that every year. It's great being down in Cabo and being involved and seeing all the teams down there. It's an amazing event. And then forgot one more event in just before the Cabo Tuna Jackpot through Juan Bass. We have a partnership with Bass Master and Bass Nation. 25 of our pros that fished last year and 25 of our amateurs that fished last year and qualified are going to the Bass Nation Championship at La Crosse, Wisconsin in October. And one of those guys three of those guys at that tournament have a chance to make it to the Classic in 2026. So pretty cool stuff coming down the pipeline and, ramping up for all that. Plus, we start all over again in January with trade shows and tournaments, and it never stops.
No, and that's why I was so stoked that you were down there on Monday morning. I know you're busier than hell, so thank you for helping us all get more aware of what's going on. Me living down here in Colorado, I would have never known if you hadn't have posted that, because no one else would have. No one else would have done anything that I follow anyway. I would have never saw it, and I wouldn't have been able to get everybody wound up about it. And then to see all these horrible videos and to watch those phenomenal fish leave that area in black trash bags in that tractor. There's all your great fish, gang, right there in the front of that tractor. It's pretty gnarly. And my son just called and said, thank you, Billy, for doing that. Because like I told you, Billy, when I called you, my youngest son was just blown away. He follows you. And he was like, Dad, that's our lake. I said, yeah, buddy. And he's 34 years old. And he wanted to take my granddaughter, his daughter, fishing there. And who knows if they'll ever be fishing there again.
Yeah, my son just moved there with his mom, and he's 17, almost 18. He just started buying his own baits and stuff, which is a relief to me. But he's like, Dad, what am I going to do now? Because he was going down there and he'd send me pictures, drop shot and catching a bass, having a good time. But there is hope. As I posted a post yesterday, there are fish that will survive. Fortunately, this is not a golden algae issue, which usually decimates the entire body of water. This lake will survive, and hopefully with proper management, more people getting involved, or at least bringing awareness to the lake and what changes need to happen, it will survive. It's going to take years to get it back to what it was. Obviously in 2013, when it had a die off the last time, it took a good 10 years for it to get to a point. I've lost my personal best at that lake before. I've had a 14 plus pound fish on a big glide bait at Laguna Niguel Lake. My biggest is 12.98, which is funny, from another small pond in Orange County that I won't mention. But, our resources are shrinking, and back when in the day, and they still do it, and it's called ninja fishing. All the golf course lakes, whatever reservoirs we can find bass in, we'll fish. But we just need some good lakes within our area, because I have a Rangers E521 and I've got to drive an hour and a half any direction, whether it's LA, Riverside, or San Diego, to get my boat on the water, which is sad for our Orange County, one of the most flourishing counties in California.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty sad. And to think that was one of our prime spots to learn how to largemouth when we were kids. So I hope you're right. I hope it does come back. I hope there's more management. I hope things get better for that. And just one more time, tell everybody how they can follow along with Western Outdoor News, because there's a lot of people on here that are very thankful for everything you've done for us.
Hey, I really appreciate it. And that's the biggest thing, is all the positive feedback that's been coming from not only the anglers, but the people that seem to care. And that, some people even comment, don't get soft, Bill. Don't get soft on them. Keep on it. And I'm going to. We are going to. So if you're interested in any of our charters or our Cedros trip, go to wonews.com, Western Outdoor News' website. If you're interested in any of the bass fishing tournaments that we do pro-am events. Pros have the boats. Amateurs don't have to have a boat. You fish with a separate pro for 3 days. You get to learn. You get an opportunity to actually win some money. That's at wonbass.com, WONBASS.com. We have social media for Western Outdoor News and Won Bass. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Billy Egan. My Instagram is hooked_on_thriving, hooked on thriving. You can find me there. Western Outdoor News, Won Bass. We're on every platform there is. And if you send a message to whether it's Western Outdoor News or to Won Bass, they typically come directly to myself or another employee at the company, and we'll get back to you right away. But I appreciate you having me on and giving me an opportunity to kind of share what's happening here locally. And I am going to try to get to these guys that are asking me to come to other lakes, whether it's El Dorado, whether it's the one that somebody just mentioned just now, Canyon Lake, and see if what we're doing will help get them some awareness and get some attention from the people that make decisions and have the budgets or don't have the budgets. And the real name of the game is water's money. Nobody wants to give up money that easy.
No, exactly. So gang, just get over there on his Instagram or Western Outdoor News or however you find your streaming stuff, and get over there and ask Billy to help you. He will do it. But you guys go over there and subscribe to his channels and follow along there. And Billy, thank you for taking your time. Go do you. Thank you for jumping in here at lunchtime with us, and we appreciate you. And we're not done here. You and I will be back on the show again. Thank you very much for joining us. And
thanks for having me. And seriously, that comment about the Cedros trip coming up the 11th through 15th, they're the only spots available for the rest of the year, and the prices are going up next year. So if you're interested and you have the time, give me a call. It's going to be a blast. Thanks for having me.
You get to go fish with Billy. Thank you, Billy. We'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, gang. So we had a couple of comments while we were going, and we're going to bring Jim Holden in here for a minute in just a second. But Nick, you're asking about going out fishing for bachelor party in Southern California. The biggest problem is you're going to find, and if you don't like to fish for bass and stuff like that, I don't know if you've noticed the price of fuel, gasoline in Southern California. These boats don't run on thank you. So that's why your prices are going to be your prices. And to think that you want to go offshore fishing for yellowtail and tuna and stuff, you're going to have to pay, bro, because those boats don't run on thank you. And the best boat to go fishing is on with Justin Bottrell, and you can get on here and find him. But hey, with that being said, let's bring on Jim Holden right now. Elliot, let's talk about Fish for Life and Billy and everybody over at Western Outdoor News, and so many Bass Pro Shops, and everybody just embrace Fish for Life with you, Jim Holden, and what you've done working with Donna and my father back when he was still with us. You guys have put together one hell of an event for these children, right?
Well, thanks, Dave. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's just an incredible experience, I mean, for the children, special needs kids, and their parents and everybody on board.
Yeah, it's tomorrow morning when you are, and you do such an eloquent job of announcing each one of these children as they come down that red carpet. It's hard for me to not cry. And I'm sitting here doing the live show with Donna and Jeff Moon, and we're doing the live show, and I'm sitting over here with just tears pouring down out of my eyes, because this is such a special event in the community, and being able to do it live on our platform and bringing so many more people into this to see what actually is going on is just absolutely incredible. And a lot of people are watching right now, and it was a great segue having Billy Egan on the show to get everybody aware of this largemouth thing. But here we go. This is super important to understand what Jim Holden has put together with the help of my father and Donna and so many donors, because you can't do this without the donors, right, Jim?
That's right. No, we're only limited by the number of trips we can provide, by the funds we can raise.
So explain to everybody that doesn't know, what is Fish for Life and what is it all about?
Okay. so Fish for Life, it's a free fishing trip for kids with special needs, ages typically 8 to 21, mixed conditions. We get a lot of autistic kids, down kids, cerebral palsy. They're all welcome. Uh, we started 16 years ago on our mothership, the Dana Pride. We'll have 100 people aboard, 30 special needs kids, 30 chaperones. They've got to have a chaperone, and then 40 volunteers. And the model is just real unique. There's nothing like it. I mean, it's a fishing trip, but it's a production. We have a lot of fun. We start off with an opening ceremony. We now have these blow up shark suits that lead a bucket band playing to the song Everybody's Everything by Santana as they come to the stern of the boat. Then we have an opening ceremony that involves speakers. Donna's there, always lead the charge. We get the local mayors, marine biologists, and then we'll have celebrities. We've had ball players. Steve Berline's been really involved with this. Tomorrow we have Hobie Brenner from the Saints, and that's really cool for the parents' sake. The kids don't know, but it's like, oh, so-and-so came down to honor my kid, And then after the speakers, we'll have somebody say a prayer. I mean, this is all about serving God by serving others, And then after that, we'll have a youngster sing the national anthem. Then we roll a red carpet down the gangway, and we'll introduce the kids one at a time from bios that they give us prior to the trip. And if that isn't adorable, some of the stuff they come up with is just a riot. But it's a big deal for them. They're in the spotlight, and it's all about them, honoring them and their parents as they come down the red carpet. They come down to the base of the gangway, and on the dock, we'll have our volunteers there ready to give them high fives. Prior to the trip, though, we educate our volunteers. We've had therapists. One came up with a great summary of just understanding special needs kids. And for example, as like lower function autistic kids come down the carpet, you extend your hand out for a high five, but often they don't want to be touched. So you just clap and wave them on. And there's a multitude of little details there just to make these trips really comfortable for them, music, we don't play music too loud, so on and so forth. But anyhow, they board the boat. We take a big group shot. And then we shove off to the theme song of the Pirates of the Caribbean, go over to the bait bars, and then we'll get a harbor escort. The sheriff's department has been so supportive. Oftentimes they'll bring 3 boats out to escort us out of the harbor. And now they're putting on a show. So we'll get out of the harbor, and then they'll take off. They'll do like these figure eights and then come zipping by our boat real fast with the sirens going. It's really cool. And then we'll stop at the first buoy because there's always sea lions on that, because it's about education too. We'll have like 2 marine biologists on board to educate the kids as fish are caught, something about the traits of the fish, answer questions, etc. We'll stop at that buoy, explain the difference. Captain will explain the difference between seals, sea lions. And then tomorrow we'll have game wardens come board our boat, and we'll get a warden stand up on the bait tank, and he'll then explain their role, talk about ocean conservation, answer questions, and some of the quality of the questions is just really cool. I mean, typical ones, but the ones the kids think of, like, why do fish have to be a certain size to keep them, so on and so forth. And then they deputize all the kids as junior wardens, and they walk around, they put little stickers on them, and it's really cool. And then we fish. We've had the best anglers in Southern California aboard the Pride to help increase the odds of everybody hooking up. And every trip, no kid leaves the boat without catching something. I mean, we love it when mackerel and barracuda show up, But Dave, they've been so cool. Tommy did a great job, and now Brandon. I mean, just putting us on some good reefs, a lot of calicos. It's pretty much bottom fishing,
Oh, it's insane to see their faces when they catch that first fish of their life, and for the parents to understand that is the coolest thing, is to see these hot. I'm not going to say the right word, but these children that don't get to do much. They don't get to go out and do much. And to see that they can fish and that it's accessible, and that Dana War Sport Fishing and Jamie Diamond up in Santa Barbara and the boats that you work with across the United States show the parents that we all do what we can to make sure that these children have the best time that they can possibly have. And I remember when you approached my father with this idea, and oh my gosh, the two of you guys just took this and ran with it, and you've changed so many people's lives. It's incredible.
No, he right out of the gates. I mean, he saw the value in the vision with this. He was all in and supportive for years. Big help. But yeah, Dave, you're right. And in talking with the parents over the years, they tend to feel like outcasts of society, and avoid doing things that we all just take for granted. And we just love doing fishing. Okay. But mom doesn't know how to fish, or dad, or whatever, or Billy's in a wheelchair, or whatever the case is. This is a safe haven for them. It's just a beautiful way to introduce them to fishing. And then post trips, I've heard many stories where they go again on their own, and they know, hey, we can do this, No, it's really cool. And then, beyond the fishing, then the entertainment, we just have a blast with them. We'll do the boot trick, for example, put a rock in a boot, throw it over the bow, pretend we hooked up with a shark, and we stage that. We'll walk around prior to that. Look, see that fin? And then we'll say, all right, hey, there's a mako circle in that boat. We're going to see if we can't get it, So we throw the boot over when nobody's looking, and then hook up, and we've got some really great characters that lead the charge. Brian Coughlin, he does it. Tony G,
Oh yeah,
he's fabulous. He's so animated, but they'll go from the bow to the stern, hot rail, and everybody's anticipating a big shark coming up, and up comes the boot, So we do that. The kids then after a while, they'll do a line dance around the deck. We give them the buckets that we use in the beginning, and then different musical instruments, and play some fun songs as they're going around the deck 3 times. Then they end up on the stern, where we teach them the fish for life dance that all the kids can do, even kids in wheelchairs. But we do that to keep their attention while a buddy comes around the bow with a private boat, drops off a diver, and then a mermaid. We don't say anything. The kids will sound up, a mermaid. So we stage that, like, where'd you come from? I was just heading up to Newport, wanted to say hi. Okay, cool. And what's your name? And blah, 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 blah. She does her thing. And then the diver pops up to justify him and be like, where'd you come from? Oh, I was just diving, saw this beautiful mermaid, When they're done, then we'll say, all right, hey, will you go back to the dock so kids could get pictures when we get back? Sure. All right, we'll go. We'll see you back there. Or wait, we'll see if we can't get you a ride. And we yell to my buddy like we don't know him, Hey, will you help out? And so they load up, off they go. And then on the way back on these trips, because aboard we'll create teams. We'll have fishing team leaders. They usually a pair. They get 2 kids to care for, help them fish, and whatever they need throughout the day. But on the way back, then we have an award ceremony, which is just really cool. The fishing team leaders will get up and they'll, say a few words about what the kids caught, their effort, something funny, whatever. And then they give the microphone to the kid. And Dave, I'll tell you, man, that's just fuel for the fire. Hearing what's coming out of their mouths, what these trips mean to these kids. I mean, it's a big deal, And then that's it. And then when we're heading into the harbor, we'll say, oh my gosh, we got a problem. Pirates tied up the mermaid. So we need your help. And so we pass out water guns to all the kids. And so as we're docking, then there's 3 pirates, and we have a rope. She's swimming around right at the pride's slip there. They hoist her up, and then the kids start blasting the pirates with the water guns. And then we'll have a volunteer hop off, and it's kind of a lesson not to bully. It's like, what are you doing, man? This isn't kind. This is all about love, all about caring for these kids. Shame on you. And it ends with them saying, we're sorry, please forgive us. And that's the end of it, And then we go up to Turks and have a beer.
Yeah. The best thing I think is for the parents. They're the unsung heroes in this thing. And to see that there is things that these children that are special needs children, there are things that they can actually go out and do. And this is what probably the best thing about what you've been doing for the last 10 years plus is showing the parents that there is something other than just full-time care. These children get so into this thing, and you have so many regulars coming back, but we got a lot of people, I'm sure, that are watching right now that would love to know how can they get their children into this, Jim. We've talked about the donation. How can they get a hold of you? Because it's a limited amount of people, right?
Yeah, it is. It's like 30 kids per trip. We have a trip tomorrow, and then we've got 3 more trips. We've got August 12th. August 10th, then September 14th, and then October 11th in Dana Point. And then we're up in Santa Barbara on the 27th. I just got back from New Jersey. We also have a chapter there down in Wildwood Crest, down by Cape May. And then a fellow came down from Boston. Next year, we're opening up Gloucester, Massachusetts, But to get involved, either get your child on board. Let me step back. Among the volunteers, too, because we'll have like 30 kids, 30 chaperones, 40 volunteers. Among the volunteers, that's a great tool, too. Beyond the fishing team leaders, we'll have some non-special needs kids. What a great life lesson for them, to break down stigmas about special needs kids and just realize these kids just want to be loved. They just want to be approached, and feel normal. And then we're also starting to work with Folds of Honor and Tunnels for Tower, where we're going to get veterans on board, good therapy for them too, to come aboard. But anyhow, to get involved, you just go on our website, the www.fishforlife.org. It's got to be org, not .com. .com's an outfit in Florida. Okay. So fishforlife.org, and then you can register. You go to chapters, select a chapter, and then just register. If you want to volunteer, same thing. It says get involved. You just go on that. And then, of course, if you want to donate, there's a donate button there, and we sure appreciate any support there. And if anyone watching this, boy, if you or if you have a friend that's connected with a big company or a foundation that could sponsor a trip, boy, I sure would love to get an introduction.
Yeah, and that's the thing Jim's talking about, gang, is there's a lot of people watching here with the means and the ability. There would be more trips if Jim and Fish for Life could get more donations. We want to take as many of these special needs children out fishing as we possibly can, but it takes all of us working together to help Jim take these highly functioning kids, but they have special needs, and we want to get them all out there and show them the fishing thing. Because once again, we're going to come back to what Billy Egan and I were talking about earlier, Jim. The way that this changes these families' lives, it's hard to imagine that there's actually an entity in the United States of America that doesn't want us to fish. It's pretty sad to think of.
Mm-hmm. No, the impact that would have to close down. I mean, no, this is how we exist and what we're going to do. So we're just going to have to fight on and stop any of those closures, And then, Dave, also too, expansion, I mean, dreams without goals are just dreams, right? So the big picture here is to expand this to other nationwide ports, ocean-bearing ports. We are going to expand to Massachusetts next year, but we're also looking at, we have a perfect landing down in Fort Lauderdale, great boat. We're just waiting for the right leadership. Same thing with Emeryville. We got landing owners all in, and that's key. I mean, in any location, we got to have the right leadership with somebody that's got, the right heart for this and a passion about it. And then the skill set to organize trips and fundraise. And from soup to nuts, we can walk them through the whole process. We'll help anyone that wanted to open a new chapter. We'd bring them here to go on the mothership, kind of walk through all the details. And then we'll take it, a core staff to their location, got a great drone videographer, great photographer, and then our core staff to help them with their first trip, because there's no reason why we can't duplicate this model. And then the deal with these different chapters is you don't deviate from the core model. It just works. They're all free, the opening ceremonies, red carpet, so on and so forth. But we don't also want to micromanage. We want to harness the imagination, of the leader there, to come up with some cool, fun ideas, both for entertainment, but then also therapeutic benefits. We've had on many trips therapists that have really post trips educated us. For example, like your really low function autistic kids, if they have sensory overload, they have to do some self-reflection, kind of zone in on something just to calm down. The bait tank is the perfect tool for that. You could take them up to the bait tank. They're just mesmerized with all the little fish and helps calm them right down, But anyhow, the big picture is, we'd love to see this in many ports in the years to come.
And also, Jim has plenty of volunteers for this trip tomorrow. There's going to be plenty of people. But if you have nothing to do tomorrow, I would highly suggest being down at Dana Wharf Sport Fishing in Dana Point Harbor tomorrow between, let's say, 8:30 and 9 o'clock, so you get a spot on the rail. Because I'm telling you what, the introduction, when you announce these children and you talk about it and we watch them go down that red carpet, it is a life-changing event if you haven't experienced it yet. And those of you that can't make it, we will be live on this channel tomorrow morning as we introduce these young men and women. As Jim, you are so, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, what you do, it's just amazing. When you talk about these children and they are walking down that, it's incredible. I'm going to start crying right now, gang, because when you watch their faces, these kids have had a really rough time. And this is like big recognition for them. And I understand the noise thing. We got to keep the noise down. But my goodness, when you watch their faces, this is an incredible event. And to have children that don't have the special needs and see this, bring your children tomorrow. Come down and be a part of this. You don't have to volunteer. But you can come down and hang out on the railing, right, Jim?
Oh, absolutely. And Dave, I'll tell you, this also too is just a magnet for just the neatest people in the world to volunteer and help out with the biggest hearts, to really see the impact and value and difference we're making in these families, And I'll tell you, we just take so many things for granted. You spend a day, and like say the parents, they are just angels to see. We're like grandparents. We'll play with them for the day, and then all right, goodbye. But boy, this is day-to-day life for them. So you get off that. Everybody gets off that boat with such a sense of gratitude, and it's like and we're complaining about what,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, Jim. When you walk away from this event tomorrow, gang, and those of you that are going to be lucky enough to go, that have the time to go down there, you're going to walk away with a whole different understanding of life and how great life is today. So please try to find time tomorrow. If you're close to Dana Point at all, be there. Dana Wharf Sport Fishing will offer. We want to see as many people as we can down there so you can experience this and say hi to Jim and say hi to my sister. And Donna will be live tomorrow, so we'll be able to see what's going on if you can't make it. And then do us a favor, do Jim and I a favor, and all these children, try to share this with anybody you know. Share this show today. Tell them if you don't have time, you don't want to watch the first half of the show, watch the second half. Starts at 12:30. And you can watch what we're talking about. Share it with all your friends, because at the end of the day, we need every one of you to help support this so we can get more children out on more boats up and down the California coast and across the United States. We need everybody to help us. And the way you do this, it's free. Share. Just share the heck out of this show. It's live on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Megaphone. And you can share this. And I promise you, this is a life-changing event. You got anything else to add, Jim?
No, just thank you, Dave. I appreciate you getting the word out. And thank you for everyone spending the time to watch this, and if you can, come on down. Come down. And if you can make it, make sure you come by and say hi.
And Manser Marine and McCarty Yacht Sales are a huge supporter of Fish for Life. Todd Manser has been a part of this since the very beginning of it. Todd Manser is a big part of our show. John and Todd have been a part of this show since we started the show. So if you have a boat, you're looking for a boat, you want to buy a boat, you need maintenance on your boat, whatever you're looking for, Manser Marine and McCarty Yacht Sales will take care of you, and they take care of Fish for Life. And you know how special Todd is, Jim, just to have anywhere near these children. He just eats that stuff alive, man. He is so good with the kids and so good giving back to everybody. So thank everybody at McCarty Yachts and Manser Marine for being a part of our show. And Jim Holden, I always love having you on the show and talking about this because it's very special to my whole family. We've been a part of it since the beginning, and we thank you for allowing us to be a part of it.
You bet. No, thank you, Dave. Hanson's have been a major supporter, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. And
everybody, stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we'll be live with Red Carpet. Donna will be live down there, and we'll say hi to Jim, and everybody log in tomorrow morning and watch us. And then right after that, we got the RCT crew, River Cats Tackle. We're going live with the biggest catfish tournament in the United States of America. John and the team will be live on our show. So we'll come out of the Fish for Life. We'll take a couple seconds to rebrand our show, and then we'll be right back with the River Cat Tackle crew. So Jim Holden, thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow with your phenomenal event, and I hope a lot of people show up, and please donate.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Have a good day. God bless.
See you later, Jimbo. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching our show today. Thank you for being a part of. Thanks for understanding what's going on with our fishing community and how important fishing is to the world. And just keep being involved in keeping fishing open. Mike Lewis, Cubby, Brett, T. Wood, Josh, everybody that's watching. EJ, thank you guys for coming on and watching the show today. Our core audience, I appreciate all of you. And it's up to us to share this with as many people as we possibly can. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. Elliot, thanks for producing a phenomenal show. I think everybody understands what's going on now. And we'll see you all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Turn off the news. They're all lying. This is the only place you get the truth.